Welcome back to 12 Games of Christmas 2021. We are on day 10 and we are almost at the end of our adventure. And I can see from our studio that we're starting to run out of some new ideas. We had a wonderful game by The Amazing Dog 1234, which is a really good platform game. Feel free to check that out. But we are starting to slow down a bit now. So I'm going to spend the next 3 days, the final 3 days, on my final project, and I'm going to go through it with you. I'm going to learn some different bits and pieces. I'm going to show you where we're up to at the moment. So at the moment, it's called the Spot the Difference Time Challenge, and my aim is to have some images and one of them be different. And at the moment, I've done the images and I've done a little bit of code. So let's have a look inside where I've got so far. And at the moment, if I start with the backdrop, at the moment, I've got some broadcasts. I haven't sorted out what the broadcasts are going to do yet. First of all, when the flag is clicked, we're going to go to the home screen. And you can see we're on our home screen over here. And when you press the space bar, I'm going to change that in a moment, but this is just to practice. It creates a random list. And I made this block myself. So I went to My Blocks, Make a Block. And what it does is it creates, let's find my list at the moment. So I have made 3 lists and I'll show you them shortly. So I'm going to show you the random list. What it does is it deletes everything and then it repeats this bit of code until there are 21 numbers in the list. Okay, you can see it says repeat until the length of the list is 21. What this is doing is it's creating every number from 1 to 21 in a different order each time. So if I keep running it, you will see that each time it generates these numbers in a different order. And the reason for that is because what I want to happen is I want the sprite that is different to appear in a different place each time. So the first thing it does is it sets random to pick a random number from 1 to 21. But if that random number, and I created that as a variable, if that random number is already in the list, well, don't do anything. Otherwise, put it into the list, and so then add it on and on each time. So for example, the first random number the Scratch came up with was 3. 3 wasn't in the list, so it added it on. The next one it came up with was 19, so it added it in. Say for example that it randomly chose 3 the next time, it wouldn't put it in because it's already got a 3, so then it would just keep running and it would keep going until it hits 21 numbers. And it's a nice clever way of getting all the numbers from 1 to 21 in a random order. So at the moment, every time I press spacebar, we get some different things happening. Okay. Alright, so I'll get rid of that random list and I'm going to show you the X position and Y position. So, why have I got these? Well, first of all, let's go to our sprites first. So I've got 2 sprites, and this is really important to save you time. If you wanted to recreate this game, is I went onto costumes and I chose 8 different costumes. I drew 8 different costumes, except for number 7, the donut. I didn't draw that one. So I didn't show and the rainbow actually, but the others I created myself. I created the costumes. Then when I was happy with the costumes, I then right-clicked on the sprite and duplicated. That way, I had exactly the same sizes and exactly the same costumes for my second sprite. And this is important because all of these sprites are going to appear and one of these will. And you'll see on the costumes what I've done is I've changed one thing each time. Okay, so I've changed the color or something slightly longer. So these are the difference, if you like. So on my sprite that is not the difference, I've got a little bit of code here. Now at the moment some of this is actually not needed, it's just me testing. So these ones are just for testing. Okay. I've got some variables which at the moment I'm not going to use, but I might use in a second. So I'll just remove that as well. So when flag is clicked, set clone ID to 0, and I've got that again here, set clone ID to 0. So I'll probably need to get rid of one of those. Now the clone ID, remember from an earlier 12 Games of Christmas, is to use for clones. And clone IDs, it means that each clone will have their own ID. So every time that I create an image that's exactly the same as this costume, it's going to have a separate number. And that's important. Okay, so the first thing it's going to switch to the costume of the backdrop number. And this is because I have some different levels. Each backdrop is a different level. At the moment, it's not in line because I've got a home screen, but I can change that easily. Watch, I can do, if I go to here, switch costume to backdrop number +1. So backdrop number +1. In fact, no, I need it the other way. -1. Go, that'll work. Switch costume to the backdrop number, take away 1. So that means if we're on level 1 screen, the level 1 screen is backdrop number 2. So therefore my sprite will be number 2, take away 1, costume number 1. Okay, that's sorted. It's going to wait half a second to make sure all the random code has been run. It's then going to repeat for however many level difficulties I had. At the moment I've got 21 spots on my grid, so I want it to repeat 20 times because I want 20 different ones to appear. But I might, depending on level difficulty, and that's why I've created this variable level difficulty, I might start with only 5. So if I change that to 5, you'll see what I mean in a moment. Then it's going to repeat 5 times, create 5 clones, each with a different ID. Okay, so we'll have a clone 1, clone 2, clone 3, clone 4, and clone 5. When you start as a clone, it's going to run this code. And this was a little bit tricky. Okay, I created a variable called position. And the position is equal to, and if you see if you can follow this, the clone ID, so the first clone is number 1, and it will go to item number 1 of the random list. So I'll get the random list out, so we can see here, my random list. Random list number 1 is 13. So the position is 13, because that's the first number of my random list. You might see where I'm going with this. Then it says, go to item position of X, item position of Y. Here's a list of X and Y coordinates. So this coordinate here is on the grid -180 plus 120. This is quite tricky, but basically -180, 120 is X position, it'll be over here somewhere, Y position will be up here. So that's around here. Your X and Y positions are where it's located in the scratch screen. But this one wants to go to the 13th one because the first number in the random list is 13. So it's going to choose number 60 and it's going to choose number 120. So the first clone will go to X is 60, Y is 120, and then it will show. Okay, so then each clone will go to the next, to go to their representative on the random list, and then look what that X and Y position is, and then appear. Let's see that in action. So you can see here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clones, and that's because I had level difficulty set to 5. So there's 5 clones, but there's one that's the difference, and that's this one here. Okay, so we can see that this one is different. If I run it again, but I change the level difficulty to 10, I press the green flag, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different faces, and maybe you can see where the different one is. So that's where I'm at so far. So I've got them all appearing, but they don't appear in any sort of order, and they don't appear, and I don't have anything to happen when you get the correct answer or when you don't get the correct answer. Tomorrow I am going to add in a lives function and show you how I did that, and I'm going to use lives, but I'm not going to use the scratch variable. I'm going to use costumes, going to make it look a bit more fancy, and then on the final day we'll put a top score in there and using a timer. So we'll maybe have a timer and we'll see if we can do that a little bit more fancier as well. Just finally, just before I finish up today, just show you that the incorrect sprite, the one that is the difference, has a slightly different code. So all of this has this, all of these, it's all the same code for each costume, but this one It's just slightly different, and it says go set position to item 21. Because there's never going to be more than 20 different sprites, the 21st in the random list, I'll show you that again, the 21st, the last one, which in this case is 21, and that's because, look, you can see it's right in the bottom corner there. It's going to move it to whatever that random one is, and then it's going to use that position just like the same code as it is here. Okay, so very, very similar, except this one will always be 21. Right, so that's where I'm at so far, and you're going to watch me grow this over the next 2 days, and that is it really for us for 12 games for Christmas. I'm going to show a couple of these off. If we get some more games, I might add in something different over the next couple of days, but for now, see if you can have a go at remixing my game, which I'm going to share onto the 12 Games of Christmas page, and have fun with it. Okay guys, happy scratching.